summer I turned 7, my mother's hair was the color of wheat, and the ice cream parlor near our home sold swirls of vanilla dipped in rainbow sprinkles. I can still taste the sugar on my tongue, sharp and bright, the way it melted faster than I could lick. That's what I was thinking about. Vanilla, sprinkles, the unfairness of being told no, when I reached forward from the back seat of our Volvo and yanked her hair so hard she screamed. The car swerved, a horn blared, then came the impact, a deafening crunch of metal, the acrid stench of burning rubber, and a spray of glass that sliced my face into something unrecognizable. Later they'd call me a miracle. Surgeons rebuilt my jaw with titanium, stitched my eyelids shut until the grafts took, and told my parents I'd never see clearly again. What they didn't say was that miracles have costs. For 6 months, I healed in a haze of painkillers and darkness. My parents moved us to a new city, painted my bedroom mint green, soothing, the therapist said, and burned every photo of me before the accident. A fresh start, my father insisted, but his voice wavered when he said it. My mother stopped wearing her hair down, hiding the bald patch I'd torn out. When I asked about the other car, the woman and child I'd glimpsed in the split second before impact, she turned away. They didn't make it, she whispered. Don't think about them. But the ghosts wouldn't stay buried. The first time I heard the voice, I was lying in bed, staring at the glow-in-the-dark stars on my ceiling. My limbs locked without warning, muscles rigid as stone. A coldness seeped into my chest, and then, soft, trembling like a radio tuned just off frequency, "Who are you?" My left arm jerked upward, fingers curling into a claw. I tried to scream, but my throat sealed shut. The voice hissed, "You're not supposed to be here." And my hand slammed into the nightstand, scattering pills and water. When the spell broke, I ran to my parents' room, babbling about ghosts. My father blamed sleep paralysis. My mother smoothed my hair and sang a lullaby, but her hands shook. The episodes grew worse. At school, my legs would march me to the janitor's closet during recess, my knees buckling as I fought for control. At night, the voice whispered words like thief and stolen, while my hands twisted the sheets into knots. My parents hired a neurologist, then a psychiatrist, then a priest. No one could explain why my body rebelled. Andrew Chang was the only one who didn't treat me like a riddle to solve. We met in 8th grade, 2 misfits hiding in the library during gym class. He lent me his manga, and I told him about the voice. "It's the kid from the crash," he said, eyes widening. "He's haunting you." We spent that summer chasing ghosts. We rigged a Ouija board from a pizza box, snuck into a cemetery at midnight, and played EVP recordings in my basement. Nothing worked, until the night Andrew slept over. We were watching The Sixth Sense when the coldness surged through me again. My arm snapped out, fingers digging into his throat. He scrambled back, choking, as I screamed inside my own skull. The next day, he left a note in my locker. "Stay away from me. You're not safe." High school was worse. The voice, now a constant murmur, grew bolder. It flickered my eyelids during exams, twitched my lips into sneers I didn't mean. I learned to hide it, wore long sleeves to mask trembling hands, hummed songs to drown out the whispers. My parents pretended not to notice. "You're healing," my mother said, but her eyes lingered on my scars. Then at 17, I found the forum. It was a sleepless night, the voice gnawing at the edges of my mind, when I typed "survived car accident, now haunted" into a search bar. The site was a graveyard of conspiracy theories and bad Photoshop. But one thread caught my eye: shared consciousness cases. I posted under a fake name, describing the crash, the voice, the way my body moved without me. Most replies were jokes or Bible verses, but a week later, a message appeared. "You killed my mother. You're wearing my brother's face." Attached were two photos. The first showed a woman I recognized, the driver of the other car, her smile wide and unburdened, flanked by two boys. The older one had her sharp cheekbones. The younger one, maybe 6 years old, had my chin, my nose. The second photo was labeled Lucas, age 7. He was me, not a resemblance, not a coincidence. The curve of his brow, the gap in his teeth, the faint scar on his left earlobe, all mirrored in the reflection I'd avoided for a decade. My hands shook as I compared the photos. The woman was alive. Lucas was dead. But I was Lucas. I locked myself in the bathroom, smudged glasses pressed to my face. The scars twisted my skin into a grotesque mask, but beneath them the structure was undeniable. My father's lies came rushing back. They died instantly. A closed casket. Don't dwell on it. But Lucas's casket was empty. That night, I confronted my parents. My mother crumpled to the kitchen floor, sobbing into her hands. My father's voice cracked as he confessed, "You were dying. Lucas was brain dead. We thought we could save you." Save me? I gestured to my body, Lucas's body. What about him? He was gone, my father said, but his eyes flickered. The voice, Lucas, answered for him. My arm lashed out, shattering a vase. "Liar!" My mouth snarled in a child's pitch. They'd lied. The surgeons hadn't saved me. They'd carved me out of my ruined body and stitched me into Lucas's, his mind shunted aside but not erased. All these years he'd been trapped, screaming in the dark while I wore his skin. Ethan, Lucas's brother, found me next. He messaged with forensic precision. Hospital records, falsified death certificates, a photo of Lucas's funeral with an empty coffin. "Meet me," he demanded, "or I'll go public." We met at a diner outside town. Ethan looked like his mother, sharp, furious, alive. He slid a folder across the table. "Lucas Hale, died March 15th, 2006, died September 3rd, 2013. "Except he didn't," I said. "No." His voice trembled. "They told me he died on impact, but his body's right here." I flinched as he pointed at me. "Lucas is stronger now. He lingers at the edges of my vision, a shadow with my face. And when I sleep, he shows me things." This morning, I booked a bus ticket to Oregon. There's a neuroscientist there, Doctor, Amara Voss, who studies dual consciousness. Maybe Dr. Voss can untangle us. Maybe she'll declare one of us the real child and erase the other. Or maybe we'll vanish together, two ghosts dissolving in the light. All I know is this: survival isn't a miracle. It's a wound that never heals. If you're reading this, I'm already gone. Look for me in the static between breaths, in the face of a stranger who seems familiar, in the stories of children who wake screaming from dreams they can't explain. And if you ever feel a coldness in your limbs, a voice that isn't yours, listen closely. It might not be yours either.